your part of the world, your neck of the woods. Ron Harris here, MD Online Editor. Before we start, of course, subscribe to the channel. If you like the videos, click on the thumbs up, share them. You can do that, you can share them. And of course, hit that notification bell so you know when we have great content coming out Monday morning at 9:15 a.m. Eastern. Just to let you know right now, we did our big preview, myself, Giles Thomas, and Miguel Chain from Brazil. We covered the Arnold Classic, Open Bodybuilding, and Classic Physique in depth. It was about an hour and 20 minutes. We really got into it. Jen put a lot of update edits into there from the competitors and stuff. It's a really cool video. Check that out Monday morning, 9:15. Notification bell, you'll know it's coming. So into today's topic, Scott Rizzardi, guy I've known for years and years. I've only met him in real life, I think, once, but we've been corresponding, messaging for years. Competitor. He's 49, close to my age. I'm 53. I'll be 54 in September. But his question was about off-season bulking. How heavy should you let yourself get? He's still competing, I believe. And when I say off-season, a lot of you don't compete and don't ever want to compete, but you still have those phases of the year where you have your off-season months where you're trying to build and you let yourself get a little fatter. And then you have your cutting months. Either you're competing, or for more people, way more people than compete, they just like to get really lean for the summer. That's what I do, because I haven't competed now in, it'll be 10 years this July since I've competed. Wow, 10 years. That went by quick. But I competed for 24 years before that, so do the math. I am uniquely qualified to speak on this subject. If you look in the thumbnail, it's not a really great representation of before and after, because they're actually different eras. The before is, I think I'm like 23 years old in that picture. And those were the days when I used to get really fat in the off season, really fat. And because I was natural back then, drugs definitely do help you stay leaner. You build more muscle tissue and the muscle burns more calories at rest. And when I was natural, it was all about body weight for me. And I was trying to get big. And in between shows, I usually competed in the warmer months, spring, summer. So the cooler months, even though I was in California, we'll just still call them the cooler months, I would get up to like 230 pounds natural at 5'8". So I was, as you can see in the thumbnail, I was Porky the Pig, or Porky the Pig, as Lee Haney likes to say. I was so fat, just fat. And I would diet down, and every time I would look exactly the same. I didn't get any bigger. I was like, what? I thought I would go from like 230 to 180, and I dieted fast, crash diet. I used to do it in like 6 weeks, I think 8 weeks. I think 8 weeks was my norm. I didn't have a coach. There was no internet back then, so I was just doing whatever I thought seemed right to me at the time, which was wrong. But, over the years, I continued to bulk up as I competed. I would continue to bulk up in the off season, the time of the year when I wasn't competing, and I was trying to put on size. And, after a while, I got sick of looking and feeling that way, because there's only so much body fat you can have as a bodybuilder before you don't even look like a bodybuilder anymore. You just look like a big, bulky guy who lifts weights, but the shape of the muscles is obscured. You can't really see much of anything. You look like a blob. You look fluffy, smooth, fat. So it took me years and years. And really, it wasn't until I stopped competing that I started staying leaner all the time, never let myself get that heavy again. And the older I got, the leaner I stayed year round, and the lighter I kept my body weight down, the more I kept my body weight down. I don't have a set amount of body weight. I can tell you guys, don't get more than 5 pounds over, 10 pounds over, 15 pounds over. It's going to be different for everybody. But this is the bottom line that you have to think about. Calories in versus calories out, okay? When we want to get leaner, when we want to lose body fat, we have to be in a caloric deficit. You have to be expending more calories than you're taking in. So let's say that your caloric needs, just to stay exactly the same, I'm just going to throw out a weird number, 3,000 calories. Let's say that's what you need, 3,000 calories. That keeps you exactly the same weight. You don't get any leaner. You don't lose any weight. You don't gain any weight. 3,000 calories will keep you exactly where you are. Now, if you want to start losing fat, maybe you'll take that down to 2,700 calories. Now you're in a caloric deficit of 300 calories every day. 300 times 7 is 2,100 calories for the week. So you'll start losing some weight. You'll start losing some body fat just by reducing your calories. If you'll notice, every diet, there's so many diets, but they all the ones that work, and pretty much they all work, caloric restriction. Any diet that has you eating less calories than you need is going to result in weight loss, fat loss. Of course, a lot of people are just going to lose fat and muscle at the same rate because they don't weight train and they're not worrying about having enough protein and things like that. But we're talking about bodybuilders. We're talking on this channel about people who are bodybuilders or aspiring bodybuilders. So I'm going to assume that's who you are, and that's what your goals are. So that's a caloric deficit. Keeping in a caloric deficit over time, you'll lose weight, hopefully in the form of body fat if you're training hard, getting enough protein, doing all that stuff. If you want to gain weight, now this is where we get into the discussion about the off season, you need to be in a caloric surplus. You need to be eating more calories than you expend. So again, we're going to stick with that example of 3,000 calories. 3,000 calories is what you need to stay exactly the same every day. Now let's bump it up. Let's go to like 3,400 calories. We just added 400 calories to your daily intake. 4 times, so that's 200, 2,800? Yeah, 2,800 extra calories a week. How many calories do you really need to gain muscle? That's been an object of debate. I remember the late Mike Mentzer used to have, I don't know where he pulled this out from. It was a really low number. I don't know if anyone knows it. You can post it. I believe he claimed you only needed something like an extra 30 or 50 calories a day to facilitate muscle growth. Some people will go way beyond that. So here's the thing. There's going to be a certain amount of calories that you actually need to gain more lean muscle tissue. And everything beyond that is extra that your body doesn't really need. What does your body do with extra calories when you keep eating them? Well, if you've seen overweight people, if you've seen the show My 600-Pound Life, you will know body fat. It's stored energy for, our bodies are really just designed to survive, to keep living. That's our prime directive as human beings. That's survival of the species. We're programmed to just survive. So if you cut your calories very drastically, for example, let's say in that example, you went from 3,000 to 1,000, your body would go into a crisis mode. It would slow down your metabolism, just in an effort to survive, because now it senses, there's no food coming in. We're getting starved. We better conserve energy. We better make sure we don't lose much body fat, lose much weight. We're going to slow everything down and try to survive as long as possible. Hopefully this guy or girl will start feeding us again. So now we get back into the off-season caloric surplus. You will know, you can test your body fat. You can do body composition tests, skin caliper, bod pod, underwater, hydrostatic weighing. There's a lot of different ways you can test your body fat, but I think it's fairly simple. If you have an objective eye, if you can look in the mirror and say, I'm getting fatter, or if you can even look in pictures and say, I'm getting fatter, you'll know you're taking in too many calories, because there's only a certain threshold that your body really needs, like I said. So how lean do you want to stay? That's a good question. I personally believe you should always be able to see your abs. It was Arnold Schwarzenegger who said, once you can't see your abdominals and I don't know if he called them serratus or intercostals. He's talking about, the stuff here. You're no longer a bodybuilder. You look like some guy that lifts weights and eats a bunch of, nachos and drinks beer, which, that's fine if that's what you want to do, but it's not a good look. So generally speaking, I think you should always be able to see at least the outline of your abs in really good lighting. I'm not saying they have to be a super carved out six-pack, but you should be able to see your abs. You should be able to see some muscle separation in all the muscle groups. You should see, if you flex your quad, you should be able to see the heads of the quad. Again, you're not going to have deep, clear cuts, but you should see some separation. Your body shouldn't be a formless blob. Once you've gotten to that point, you're on the way to just getting fat. Like I said, you can get fat if you want, but it's not going to help you. It's not going to make your goals of gaining muscle happen any faster. The late Arthur Jones, who was the genius behind the Nautilus machines, built an empire, got very wealthy out of that. He had a good saying. He had a lot of clever sayings. One of them was, a car isn't going to run any better with a full trunk full of sand. So if you put like 1,000 pounds of sand in a car, it'll still run, but now you're weighed down by all that sand. So if you're weighed down by all this extra body fat, first of all, you're going to have a lot of trouble on leg day and on back day, especially leg day. You're not going to have much wind. And a lot of guys will stop their cardio too. In their off season, they think, no, I can't do cardio. I can't, that's going to keep me from making my gains. No, trust me guys, a moderate amount of cardio in your program is fantastic. It's going to keep you healthier. It's going to keep your wind up, your cardiovascular endurance, so you can get those 20 rep sets of leg presses, the drop sets, the supersets, things like walking lunges. Try doing that stuff when you're really overweight. Good luck. You'll be like, you'll be gasping for air like a fish on a dock, as I like to say. Yeah, and another thing that I want to point, you should always keep in mind is any bit of fat that you put on, assuming eventually you want to get lean again, you're going to have to take that off. So the more fat you gain, the more you're going to have to take off later on down the line. Why make it harder on yourself? Because those of you who have tried to start a cut from a place where you were pretty overweight, you know it sucked. You had to cut your carbs way down, your calories way down. You had to do a ton of cardio. You would have been much better off just staying leaner the whole time and never letting yourself get to that point where you had that much body fat. But that's hindsight. It's 2020. Another thing I want to point out is for those of you who are older, and Scott, who gave me the idea for this question, he's 49, so that's almost 50. I believe if you are over 40, 45, but definitely if you're 50 or over, you really shouldn't be bulking up anymore. Very bad idea for your health. At that age, 50 and above, you really should have an idea of your own mortality. You're not a kid anymore. You know you're not going to live forever. You've had friends already die. You've been to a lot of wakes and funerals. You've seen your peers, people you grew up with, passed away. I graduated high school with a class of 540 guys and girls, and I think something like 40 of them are already dead. It's a lot. I went to my last reunion, and they had a table set up with pictures of all the classmates who died. And it was chilling to see because I'm like, oh my God, they're all my age and they're all dead. I was very grateful that I'm still here. I'm still alive. But if you're 50 and above, you really shouldn't be bulking. You can put on a little bit of extra weight. So let's use a crazy example. Let's say you compete, and I like the nice round numbers for these examples. Let's say you compete at 200 pounds. That's your competitive weight. You're shredded at that weight. I don't think you need to be any heavier than, say, 215. I'm throwing that number out there. Why? 215 is manageable. You're still going to have to eat clean, but you can eat more clean food. You should keep some cardio in. And it's going to be much easier, but it's going to be healthier. It's going to be better for your heart, your lungs, your kidneys, all your organs. All your organs get stressed when you're heavier, whether it's fat or muscle. And a lot of us, when we bulk up, it's a lot of fat. It's a lot of fat and water. I'm going to use an example of a guy in the New England area. Certainly not going to name him, but this guy's right around 60. He might be a little above, late 50s, 60, early. He's somewhere around 60. I don't know his exact age, but he's been posting about how he's bulking up to 260. And then I heard he had a stroke, which he denied. I'm not naming you, sir, so don't come back at me. Only people who know you would know who I'm talking about. And then I saw another post where he joked about how he doesn't do much cardio, or it's crazy, you'll never see me on a cardio machine. And I'm thinking, oh my God, you must want to die. And this guy has kids. Like, why are you being so reckless? For what? You're not winning the Masters Olympia, dude. I'm sorry to say. And, I'm not going to pick on his physique, but it's not a great physique regardless. Not that my physique was ever awesome anyway, but why would you put yourself in that position and take those chances with your health? If you're over 50, forget about bulking. Don't let yourself get fat. Do not let your cardiovascular fitness go away. You got to keep the cardio up. You got to have heart disease is still going to always be the number one killer, whether you're a regular schmuck walking down the street or you're a bodybuilder, especially if you're a bodybuilder who's been using gear for years. Your heart's already been through the ringer. It's probably a little damaged already. You probably have that thickened left ventricular LVH, so left ventricle hypertrophy. You probably have a reduced ejection fraction. You probably have some calcium in your blood vessels, your arteries, your veins, all that good stuff. So you don't want to get big and fat and lose your cardio fitness. You want to stay leaner and you want to keep the cardio up. If you're younger, you can get away with it because you're young. Your bodies are resilient. When you're young, as those of you who are a little older know, when you're young, you can abuse the crap out of your body and still kind of bounce back. I mean, those of you who are over 40, do you remember when you were like 18, 19, 20, 21? You could go out all night drinking, wake up the next day, feel like crap, and go to work on like 2 hours of sleep. Hey, you'd feel like crap, but you could do it. Now, you try that now. Good luck. You're not even going to make it to work, buddy. Our bodies just are not they're not as resistant to damage the older we get, because we've done damage. It's a cumulative thing. I didn't see too many questions or comments, so maybe we don't have too many today. If not, this will be a short one. But I did want to get that out there because this is bulking time. This is off-season time. Hello from North Georgia. Well, yeah, that's all we got. So, yeah, this has been a quick one, guys. Thanks for watching. If you're not watching live, if you're watching it on the replay, leave some comments below. I love to respond to them and get some feedback from you guys, hear what you have to say, and share your experience. You know, bulking has been a good thing for you, a bad thing for you. Like me, are there some of you out there who have learned that over the years, bulking just doesn't pay off? You don't gain the muscle that you think you're gaining. You know, you diet down all this fat and water that you thought was muscle, and then you're like, oh boy, I really didn't get much bigger at all. Danielle Barros from Bayshore, from Golden Legendary Physiques. Golden Legendary Physiques on Instagram. Follow them. It's her and Carlos put that up there. Danielle is a figure pro. She says, very good advice. Cardiovascular is extremely important. Yeah, bodybuilders, as a rule, do not like cardio, and I get that. It's something you have to either learn to love or do it whether you like it or not. It's a must. You can't get away from it, especially as you get older. If you do, you're really signing your own death warrant. I hate to sound so grim, but that's the reality. If you don't do any cardio and you get big and fat, you know, for 6 months out of the year, what do you think is going to happen? Especially if you're older, you know, heart disease, diabetes, there's so many things you're at higher risk for just by being overweight. And, you know, I don't think the body treats overweight when it's a combination of fat and muscle that much differently than if it's all fat. Yeah, you look better, you're stronger and everything, but it's not healthy to be overweight, regardless. Let's see. SS says, I'm 59 and a rookie on a paid fire department. I'm ready to get started. Get started on what? Get started with the fire department? I don't know. Samson, 123221. I still see athletes pushing the bulking protocol despite it having little benefit. Well, you know, it's Samson because it's so rewarding. And I was in that trap for years. Oh, you're ready to start bulking up, S. Well, I'm telling you, don't bulk up too much because there's no point in getting fat. You don't build a lot more muscle by getting fat. You can stay pretty lean, not contest shape, but you can stay in pretty good condition and still keep putting on muscle. I think Coach Greg Doucette calls it main gaining, where you're maintaining a healthy level of body fat, but you're still taking in excess calories, enough to facilitate muscle growth, lean tissue synthesis. So, yeah. I mean, it's satisfying. I remember when I was a kid and getting fat, like you saw in that thumbnail, it was so satisfying to step on the scale every week and see, oh boy, I gained another pound. Oh boy, now I'm up to 220. Oh boy, 222, 225. It was all about chasing numbers on the scale, and I was somehow not seeing in the mirror that I was looking like like a chipmunk. I face like a pumpkin, double chin, ass with dimples on it, love handles I could grab, just fat, too much fat. It took years and years for me to get over that because I was so caught up in weighing as much as possible and being big, you know, in clothes, you look big, but you know, you still have that fat face sticking out. Yeah, I don't get it when I see these guys. I do get it because that was me. And you know, they don't know any better, but when I see people who are just letting themselves get really fat in the off season, I just cringe because I know it's not going to have a good outcome. Samson, what is a better protocol for an athlete to follow to have effective mass increase? Protocol in terms of drug protocol or as far as this discussion we're having, Samson, I think you just need to figure out, you know, this is where food diaries and those apps, they all come in really handy. Track your calories, your macros, whatever. Track your calories especially. Look at yourself. If you're staying exactly the same, well, and you're trying to gain, well, then you probably need a little more calories. Bump up the calories a couple hundred. Don't go crazy. I've seen people that go from like 3,000 to 6,000 calories overnight. Don't do that. Bad idea. Bump it up, 200-300 at a time. Keep it there for a couple weeks. See what happens. If you're starting to gain muscle, and you don't look any fatter, keep doing that. That's all the calories you need is those extra 200 or 300. If you're still not gaining, you can put another 200 or so. Keep gradually making increases until you find that spot. The amount of calories that you need, the individual, because we're all different. We all have different metabolisms, different bodies, everything. So you need to find out what's the right amount for you. Jordan, strength, bulking doesn't benefit me anymore. My body spills over quickly, even from the smallest extra calories. At this point, I just eat clean and hope the overall look improves rather than the size. Yeah, and most of us will testify that us middle-aged guys, your metabolism will slow down. I can't eat the way I used to eat. I can still get away with, more treats, more calories and carbs than say like my wife can, because she's got a lot less muscle mass and she's a woman with a slower metabolism. But generally speaking, you do have to adjust your nutrition as you get older. Usually it's less calories, less carbs, eating cleaner. You just can't get away with eating as much junk. You get fat. Whereas, a lot of us when we were kids, when I was a younger guy, like a teenager, it didn't matter how much I ate. I never gained any weight. I had abs all the time. My metabolism was like an incinerator. It was just burning up everything I threw down my throat. But as I got older, things did slow down. That's human beings. We're designed to be in our physical prime for a brief window, basically to reproduce. That's it, because we're animals. And then after that, the physical decline begins, because we needed to be in our physical prime basically just to reproduce, and that's it. And then crank out some babies, next generation, on and on and on again. That's what we've been doing for a million years. Our stove, I think Mike Mentor said he bulked up to 260 when he was younger. Wow. He says he regretted it, never did it again. Staying leaner seemed to be easier. Yeah, I never saw those pictures, but Mentor was an amazing bodybuilder when he was very young. Amazing. Older too, but I'm saying by the time that kid was like 19, he looked like a grown-ass man. 10% of body weight, pelagic princesses, truth being spoken. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's a certain I don't like to throw out exact calculations, like don't get more than 10% over your body weight, but I do like that. I think the easiest way is your abs, because that's where most of us hold fat, is in the midsection, especially men. Women more so in the hips and the glutes. They know when their jeans don't fit anymore, when they're having trouble putting their jeans on, getting them over their thighs and their butt, that they're gaining weight. With us guys, it's usually right around the middle. The love handles, the abs, that's where men hold their fat, is that gut. We all get the gut as we get older. It's that's just the way our body fat distribution pattern is as males and females. A message was held for abuse, and so he's saying his dad died at 69 from being too fat. Yeah. I mean, it's there. I don't want to judge overweight people. My late mother was overweight. There's been plenty of overweight people in my family, but it's something you can control. I understand there's a lot of underlying reasons. People do it out of depression, trauma. There's a lot of reasons people overeat and get fat. And, I'm not judging them, but I'm saying that is something that is 100% within your control. What you're eating is, unless you're chained up and somebody's forcing junk food down your throat every day and you're living in somebody's closet or basement. Generally speaking, you are in control of what you eat. So if you're getting fatter and fatter, it's on you. It's your fault. You could say, well, I was traumatized as a child. There's reasons. I'm sure there's reasons. But at the end of the day, you're still doing this to your body, and you're the one suffering. It's your body. You're the one that's going to have all the health issues. You're the one that's going to die young. You'll never see a morbidly obese senior citizen. They don't make it that long. They don't. You'll never see a 500, 600 pound person that's 70 years old. They're dead long before that. Usually heart attack, organ failure, just massive organ failure. Our bodies weren't meant to be that overweight, morbidly obese. I don't think any of you watching this are in danger of getting to that point, but it's just something to think about. Time to cut when the abs disappear, yeah. For me, it was always, I've said this many times before, it was usually around Christmas, New Year's, that time when I'd be taking family pictures at family functions, company parties, whatever. And I'd see my face in the pictures. It was like, cheeks out to here. I'm like, time to clean up the diet, Ron. Come on now, look at that. You look horrible. So vanity is a tremendous motivator for those of us who take some pride in our appearance and don't want to look like Porky the Pig. Let's see. Abhijit Nanda, hey Ron, I'm natural, but I've never got shredded. How much body fat is allowed in off season? I wouldn't gain much. I mean, you've never gotten shredded. I mean, you don't know, but you don't need much body fat. Like I said, I like the abs. The abs is just an easy reference point. If you have so much fat over your abs that when you flex, you can't see any of the individual abs, and technically it's all one muscle. the rectus abdominalis, and then it's got tendons. They're called tendinous encryptions that crisscross it and create the illusion of a 4-pack, a 6-pack, or an 8-pack. Most people have a 6-pack, but there are a lot of people that have just 4, and there's some people who have 8. Guy I used to train with for years, good friend Matt Puglia, Dr. Matt, he has an 8-pack. There's a few pros, I believe, who have had 8-packs. It's the same with it's all one muscle anyway, like I said. It's just how many tendons are crisscrossing it that create that number of abs. We don't really have abs, plural. Any opinion on the Trenton Twins, Pelagic? Any opinion on the Trenton Twins' impact on young teenage lifters? Any time you have, they're doing fantastic. They have millions of subscribers already. I've only seen a couple seconds of them, and I admit I haven't watched any of their videos. Everything I've seen of them has been clips on other people's videos talking about them. But that being said, anytime you have guys who are very young, really advocating heavy steroid use, and I'm not saying they do. I think they've actually denied. They claim to use very low amounts. I don't know how much they use. It doesn't even matter. I'm just saying I don't like to see young people falling into the trap of thinking steroid abuse is cool. It's an easy shortcut. It is an easy shortcut. You'll gain the muscle and strength so much faster on steroids. But I don't like to see young people doing that only because it's a unique time in your life. It's a very brief window of opportunity, like we spoke about before, when your natural hormone production is at its peak. Your body's cranking out testosterone, growth hormone. You don't need to be putting anything synthetic in there and taking away from what you're doing is shutting down your natural production when you do that. You're missing out on that one time. It's like, I don't know. It's like, sometimes I come up with the stupidest analogies if I'm pressed for trying to do it fast. But I don't know. Let's say you could get free gas to drive your car, but you could have that for 5 years only. And gas is very expensive, which it is. But let's say it's even more expensive. So now let's say you found out there's some gas that can make your car go faster or something, and you use that. And when you're using that, you're cut off from the free gas. And by the time you're done, now you got to pay for it again. So you're missing out on the one time of your life when you're getting all that stuff for free and in abundance. It's never going to come again. And people will say, well, this is the best time because you're young and you're going to, the steroids, your body's resilient. I've heard that argument too, but I also believe you're better off spending those years building a really good natural base, learning about nutrition, training, everything as it pertains to you, because you are an individual. You're going to find out certain exercises work better for you, certain little tweaks in form work better for you, maybe more volume, less volume, this combination of body parts. You're going to learn a lot. And if you wait until you figured all that out and you've got that all nailed down, then you add the steroids in. Boom! Amazing results. But if you're still at that point in your life where you really don't know that much about how to train, you don't know that, you're not eating that well, you don't know much, you're using the steroids, and you're not going to get as much out of them as you would have if all those things were really, at their peak level. What else we got? Huh. No, you can't spam people for your coaching services on my videos. Sorry. No. How dare you? Danielle says, yes, I agreed. You let your body work to its potential. Eat, train hard. Yep. Kevin Ghost, Ron, what do you think of creatine? Do you think it's quality for gains? Creatine is the most studied. You want to look out the window, Branch? Creatine is the most studied supplement of anything. What's up, Branch? What's hello? You look out the window, public? Yeah, creatine is the only supplement that has, literally hundreds and hundreds of studies backing up. University studies, not supplement companies saying it works, but actual medical literature and all kinds of backup. It works very well. You'll get a little more strength, a little more endurance, volumization of the muscle cells. The creatine is proven. It's absolutely proven to work in many, many studies, not just done by the supplement industry. So yeah, get on some creatine if you never use that. Gumbo and Law. Do you think some cardio is better than other forms to maintain muscle, even support muscle and lose fat? For example, rower, over bike, or just walking? No, I believe anything that gets your heart rate up. It's all about the heart rate. Anything that gets your heart rate up, whether it's walking outside, walking on a treadmill, riding a bike, rowing, even swimming if you're going fast. Anything that gets you breathing faster and gets your heart rate going, perfect. It doesn't really matter. You know, you'll find some machines you just like better. I mean, I've always liked elliptical runners. Steppers I don't really like, but they're very effective. They're tough. They get your heart rate up. They get you breathing heavy. Bikes, I've never been that big a fan of like stationary bikes, but whatever works for you, whatever gets you a sweat going, you're breathing heavier, it's working your cardiovascular system. So any machine, anything is capable of doing that. You could even, if you had no machines, you could do jumping jacks, you could jog in place. You know, I'm thinking like a horrible situation, like say you're in solitary confinement or something. You could still do cardio. You could still like jog in place and get your heart rate going. You wouldn't need any equipment for that. Let's see. Samson again. Raw athletes suffer digestive issues. They say it's because they eat too many times per day, not too many calories. Digestive system needs rest. I feel the distress is a reaction to overstimulation. Yeah, but the problem with that is, ideally, we wouldn't eat as often. We'd get better digestion, but I think we're sort of sacrificing some quality of digestion over just pushing in more and more nutrients. I think if you truly waited until your food was 100% digested, you probably wouldn't be able to take in enough calories to build muscle for most people, especially if you're somebody with a faster metabolism. So, you know, am I hungry all the time? Do I want to eat my meals all the time? No, of course not. It's because I'm eating at usually like 6:30, 6:45. Then I go to the gym, have a shake. At 11:30, have a whey protein shake and some cereal, Honey Nut Cheerios lately. 1 o'clock, chicken and rice. 3:30, turkey burger with a slice of cheese on potato bread with an apple, with some coffee, with some protein shake mixed in that. 6:30, ground beef, salsa, tortilla chips, all mixed together. Delicious. And then my final meal of the day is usually around 9:15 p.m. Sirloin burger or salmon with nuts and green beans. I don't want to eat all that food every day. It's a chore. It's cooking all that food, cleaning up after all that food gets old, guys. It gets really old. But, you know, if you want to look and feel a certain way, you can't eat like a regular person. Then you'll just look and feel like a regular person. If you want to have way more muscle mass than regular people, you got to train hard and you got to eat a lot more food and a lot more often. It's harder to get all the calories you need for most people if they only did it in 3 or even 4 meals. That's why we spread it out the way we do. Let's see. Bicep vein, Brian. Yeah, I do have the bicep vein. That's one thing I got. I don't have too much, but I got a couple things going on. I'm eating on that. Am I going to blow up because I have never been touched with anabolics? I'm 5'7". You mean, are you going to blow up when you start using anabolics? Is that your question? You know, I know English isn't your first language, and I don't speak anything other than some half-assed Spanish, but the first time you use steroids, you're going to see the best results. Everybody does. The first cycle is always the best because it's like a brand new shock to your system. You'll blow up. You'll blow up. You'll make the best gains of any cycle that first time. That's pretty much everybody's experience. I don't know how much you're going to gain. I mean, if you don't eat enough, you're not going to gain that much. You know, a lot of guys, that's why I say you got to learn your body. You think you're eating enough and you're not. Most people tell me, oh, I eat a lot. And then I go, really? What'd you eat yesterday? Tell me everything you ate. And they tell me, I go, that's it? That's all you ate? Really? They'll describe like 3 meals and like some chips or something. I'm like, dude, that's nowhere near enough food. Trust me. 18 body fat at most. What, Mr. Wide Boy? I mean, I don't go into the percentages because 18% looks very different on different people. Some people look a lot leaner and some people look a lot fatter with the same amount of body fat because we all carry it a little differently. Brian Nasser, what's up, Brian? Hey, Ryan, I just bought cane. What's cane? Cocaine? I don't know what the hell you're talking about, dude. What's cane? Gotta be more specific. I don't know. I don't know what that is. Yeah. Wow, I'm catching up pretty well. Catching up. Okay. So I think I've said everything we need to say for today. Yeah, I think so. All right, guys. Oh, wait, we got one more. Oh, carnivore beef protein, he's saying, because it was 75% off. Did I waste your money? 75% off. Looks like you saved a good amount of money. So it's carnivore beef protein. I mean, as far as I know, that's really good protein. I mean, I don't think any of the top companies put out really bad products. I mean, people would stop buying them if they were that bad. Gambo and Law, do you think it's possible to stay between 8-10% body fat and lean bulk if you're doing cardio? I think 8-10%. I think 10% is very realistic. 8%, you could stay there. I mean, I stayed last year from probably about April all the way up until maybe till this November, December. I stayed pretty lean. I probably was like 7%, 8%. It was pretty close. I would have needed, based on what I've done in the past, I would have needed like another 4 weeks from that to be in really shredded contest condition. So I was like a 4-week outlook. For those of you who compete, like a 4-week outlook. The way you should be looking at 4 weeks out is pretty close to contest condition. Danielle has a laughing emoji. Yeah. I think most of you can stay a lot leaner than you think you can. It's just you won't be able to eat as much crap. You know, somebody brings in a bunch of donuts to work, you might have to say no and say like, oh, I'll have some free donuts, you know. Or somebody, you know, a lot of us cave into pressure from family members or friends when we're out. Come on, just have one. You can't eat that? Come on, you know, and you're like, if you're dieting for a show, it's easy to say no because you have a date in mind. It's harder to eat clean when you don't have a target date, when you have to be like super lean. It's harder to stay lean all the time because, you know, there's really nothing. You don't have a contest. You don't have anything specific you're trying to get in shape for. But it is good to look. It's a really good feeling to know you can take your shirt off anytime you want at a beach or whatever and not be like, I hope no one's looking. They're going to see my love handles. You're going to see my gut, you know, my man boobs. If you have man boobs. Yeah. Thanks, man. Hit send too soon. Oh, okay. I've done that. For me, it's a talk to text. I'll do talk to text without looking at it and hit send. I'm like, that's not what I meant. And then I have to retype it. I'm like, no, I meant so-and-so, not so-and-so. So, yeah, I'm going to get going, guys. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, Monday morning, 9:15. Please check out awesome preview we have on this channel. Preview of the Arnold Classic Open and Classic Physique with myself, Giles Thomas, and Miguel Chain. 9:15 a.m. Eastern right here on this channel. If you don't have your notifications turned on, turn them on. Oh, tastefully funny. I try to be. So, guys, check that out. Appreciate you watching this channel. We really do, because you have so many choices on YouTube. So thank you for choosing MD. And that's it. I'll see you guys next time.